Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, where previously both Ruby and Sapphire had some interesting adventures below both the earth and sea. For Ruby, he ended up caught up in a plot by Team Magma to steal the Submarine Explorer 1. Ultimately, it was all Ruby could really do just to escape in the end, though he did manage to greatly outwit his opponent. All the while, Sapphire found herself in Mauville City, meeting up with Watson and the Trickmaster, who were on the hunt for New Mauville, an underground city of the future of sorts that the two wished to convert into a play place for children. In helping out with this, Sapphire was awarded the Dynamo badge, showing that there's more ways to win a Pokemon battle, well, a Pokemon gym battle, than actually, battling. Meanwhile, for Ruby, fresh after having escaped from the clutches of Team Magma, he found himself rolling down the river into a swimmer's fishing area, who was on the hunt for a Feebas, a Pokemon that Ruby found not as beautiful as the lovely Milotic that he's looking for. Sure, that won't come into play at any point in the future. And while they do find a Feebas, it's only thanks to the Feebas saving them from the attack of a Seviper and Zangoose blood feud that Ruby has no choice but to keep the creature at the behest of the swimmer, as it had helped them out so much, though the swimmer has his own ideas in mind. But they take shelter at the Weather Institute during a heavy downpour, a dilapidated center for research and all that good stuff. And who should have tracked them down with the report of the Submarine Explorer 1 going to the news and Ruby's disappearance being, kind of critical, because the adults who were with him are just like, oh no, small child gone? Responsible thing is report to authorities? Yeah, Norman picked up on all of that and managed to track Ruby all the way to the Weather Institute, and is ready to knock some sense into his son. Child abuse? I'm thinking child abuse. Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, it's the long-awaited battle in Chapter 209. Hanging around with Slacking. Oh, that kind of took me off guard. I'm not used to actually seeing cars in this series. You see them so rarely. But we pick up on Route 119, with Gabby and Ty making their way. Gabby says, we didn't learn anything substantial at the shipyard, but we can't stop pursuing this story. Not as long as some evil organization is lurking in the shadows of the Hoenn region. Suddenly, Cast form starts to shift its form. Gabby saying, oh, the cast form is a time noting it's raining. Gabby notes, our TV station has given us the go-ahead to follow up on this. Let's see what we can find out. Ty says, all right, so now where are we going? So now we're going where? Gabby says with determination, to find that boy who met the gang in the red uniforms. By finding the boy's father, is trying to find him. that's a whole lot of finding. Like the extreme version of Finding Nemo, just with a lot more criminal organization. He said he was going to search around Route 118 and Route 119. So let's stake out the area. Suddenly Castform starts bouncing around the car, startling Ty, who loses control of the vehicle. Ty saying, whoa, hey, that's dangerous. What's it doing? Ouch! Gabby says, we've been taking care of it since we left the hospital, but it just won't accept us. He then sees Castform bouncing its head against the glass and says, wait a minute, is it trying to get outside? Ty rolls down the window saying, why? But that's when they see it. Gabby says, the Weather Institute. Ooh, it's a small region. It always is. Oh, okay. And that's when you see Norman just manhandling his son, picking him up by the collar. And while in this version he says, as a bolt of lightning hits, lightning, no, Ruby is slipping from my grasp, Norman says that. In actuality, he proceeds to punch his son, saying, why did you run away from home? I think I got it mixed up. Okay, so Gabby and Ty see Norman manhandling Ruby. Gabby shouts, that's the boy, isn't it? The one from the shipyard? Kai says, I think so. Gabby says, and Norman, the gym leader of Petalburg City. I knew you'd find his son. They run towards the Weather Institute. Gabby saying, we have to interview that boy to find out about that red tea. Let's go, Ty. Meanwhile, Ruby in Norman's grass says, let me go, you old fart. Norman says, old fart? That's no way to speak to your father. I don't like your attitude. Did you really think I wouldn't find you? Marshtomp, it's not time for that. No, that's Marshtomp. Marshtomp comes and tries to go to Ruby's aid, but Vigoroth smacks it away. And that's when you get the Norman saying, lightning, no, Ruby is slipping from my grasp. When Norman actually just punches him, saying, why did you run away from home? There we go. I got it in the end. And that's how Ruby ended up being flung quite a ways away as the swimmer entered the scene. Child abuse. The swimmer saying, whoa, the force of that lightning strike knocked you down the stairs? Are you okay? Ruby says, I'm fine. Again, trying to mask the child abuse. Norman from the top of the stairs, he chucked his son downstairs with a hit. My God. Norman calls out, Ruby, I'm glad you're okay, but you're in big trouble. Which, I don't feel like he said that. Hold on. He says, well, say something. You better voice your complaints right now. Trying their damnedest to make him seem like a caring parent in this situation. The swimmer asks, who is that scary guy? Ruby notes, my father. I ran away from home. He found me. The swimmer says that now he's trying to drag you back home, huh? Well, here's some friendly advice. The best thing to do at a time like this is to apologize and get it over with. Mark my words. Ruby, as he struggles to his feet, thinks, I have options. I could apologize like you say, or I could make a run for it. Find a way out of this place and lose him in this storm. But I have a third option too. Oh, suddenly the ground underneath their feet starts to give way. So we're saying, oh, it's slacking. He's ripping cheese from that angle too? That's wild. Because Ruby's down the stairs, and Slacking manages to take the stairs from the top, rip it upward, which Ruby is hanging on to her dear life. Jeez, that's insane. And now Ruby's just dangling high up in the air from the half piece of stairs that he's on. Hey, Ruby thinks as he looks down to his father. The third option is something I should have done a long time ago. Have a Pokemon battle with Dad. Right here, right now. I'll fight him and win. Then he'll know just how determined I am. Ruby then calls out, like that swimmer said, I know apologizing to him is the right thing to do. But I can't. I just can't. So I'm going to fight him instead. Also, I have a favor to ask. Please. Don't watch our battle. Ruby's eyes then fill with determination. He leaps from the top of the stairs downward. He then brings out Mightyena and Delcatty. And that means gotta bring out my boy, Mightyena. Alright, he has Delcatty use Iron Tail, while he has Mightyena use Hyper Beam. Which, man, it's actually weird seeing them use actually offensive attacks. Mightyena's Hyper Beam seems to clash against Slacking's Hyper Beam, while Delcatty's tail clashes with Vigoroth's claws. While Ruby shouts at his dad, you're not taking me back home with you. I'm going to become the champion of every Pokemon contest in the Hoenn region. Norman says, really? And this is the best you can do? Ruby says, what? As we see both Mightyena and Delcatty being overwhelmed by Norman's Pokemon and knocked back. Norman questions, Iron Tail and Hyper Beam. I'm the one who taught you how to use those moves. I know what you're going to do before you do it. This is pointless. Admit defeat. But Ruby smiles, saying, oh yeah? You're right about one thing. I bet you can anticipate all of Kiki and Nana's moves, Dad, but I have a new Pokemon. And we see Marshtomp down at the bottom of the stairs, getting ready, I think? Or doing something. Oh, he's near a busted pipe. Is he putting water through the pipe? Ruby says, like they say, oh, through over time the world may crumble. Its toughness is eternal. Norman then notices something bubbling from a drain pipe, thinking, the drain pipe? Could it be? Ruby shouts, have you figured it out yet? Kiki and Nana got you right where I wanted you, so I can do this. Suddenly, oh, we see Marshtomp having sent Mudshot through the pipes towards where Norman was standing. Well, Norman and his Pokemon were standing. Meanwhile, Gabby and Ty managed to catch up to where the swimmer are. The swimmer just shouting, hey, hey! Gabby asks him, they're fighting on the rooftop? And as she hears the sounds of battle, she questions, what is going on? Oh, then that was already the end of the chapter. Well, dang. Alright, so we currently have no idea where Sapphire is. While Ruby is at the Weather Institute. So, dang, first time we really don't have a solid direction where she's at the moment. But she's pretty well a ways from where he's at anyway, so I guess it don't really matter too much. So getting to see Ruby actually go into battle mode is pretty fun. Alright, it's chapter 210. Hanging Around with Slacking, Part 2. We pick up with Norman and his Vigoroth being buried by the Mudshot. Norman thinks he had his Marshtomp attack with Mudshot through the drain pipe. He lured me in front of that drain inlet. He then thinks about the positioning of everything, which is still kind of wild. A good way of being aware of your surroundings. But Norman manages to break free and has his Vigoroth counter the Mudshot with Focus Punch, knocking some of it back towards Ruby, who cries out in pain. Ruby thinks, nuts, he managed to match my attacks. Mumu's attack and Vigoroth's defense, they pretty much cancel each other out. But I have the advantage. There's plenty of rain and mud for Mumu to use for its attacks. The weather is on my side today. Meanwhile, down below, the swimmer Gabby and Ty are watching Marshtomp just pouring the mud into the pipe. Gabby questions, those two are battling, aren't they? The swimmer says, yep. Who are you? Gabby says, we have to stop them. Ty says, Gabby, you shouldn't get involved. The swimmer notes, that's right, this is a family matter. Leave them be. Oh, Gabby questions, what are you talking about? We need those two. If we're serious about stopping this evil organization lurking in Hoenn, we need information from the boy who met them personally. Not to mention the help of a powerful trainer like Norman. Gabby runs back inside looking around, saying, if something happens to either of them, we'll lose that opportunity. Isn't there some way to stop those two from battling? Gabby then notices a chart about cast form. She says, wait a minute. Cast form changes their form and type depending on the weather, but they also have the power to control the weather. She looks back to the cast form they have, saying, that's it. We have to at least give it a try. Please, we need your help. Please, Castform, please. Castform looks a little nervous. You know what? Now that this is going on, I actually do remember getting the you get Castform from Gabby and Ty, right? Or do you get it from the Weather Institute? I do remember getting a Castform, but I don't think I used it that much. I remember having a Castform, and sad to say, I remember not really wanting it. Not that I thought it was a bad Pokemon, I just, I don't know, I kind of like the team I had at the moment. Oh, meanwhile, back on top of the Weather Institute, Norman shouts, Slacking, bulk up! And Slacking does that in order to break free of the Mudshot imprisonment. Ruby sees this, and Slacking grabs the staircase yet again, man. Greatest weapon in this series, and it goes to swing it at Ruby, who has to jump up in the air in order to dodge, which, man, that's so dangerous. Oh, Slacking's just swinging it back and forth. Man, Ruby, it's a good thing you have good leg strength. But Ruby thinks this isn't good. The Slacking stopped attacking, but only because it was gathering its strength by using bulk up. It's far more powerful now than back when it tore off the staircase. Ruby then lands off the staircase that Slacking is swinging, but I think Norman wanted this. Ruby thinks, oh no, as Slacking rams the staircase towards the side of the building. Jeez, again, child endangerment. Ruby has to grab onto a nearby pipe in order to keep his balance as the staircase is sent halfway off the side of the building. Norman then steps over to the staircase, putting a hand out saying, now don't argue and get over here. Does Ruby have a plan? Yeah, he's holding on to the same pipe that Marshtomp was putting his mudshot through. The swimmer sees Marshtomp at the ready at the other end of the pipe downstairs. Oh, what's left of the stairs? And the swimmer says, "This doesn't look good. Ruby's about to go all out with his next attack." Gabby shouts, "He mustn't. Please, Cashworm. Ever since President Stone was attacked, some mysterious evil has been creeping into the Hoenn region. And those two on the rooftop are the ones who can help us prevent that evil from spreading. Please, lend me your powers. I don't want any more victims." And as Marshtomp inhales, getting ready to unleash its attack, Gabby says, "I don't want any more victims like President Stone." And so Cashworm flies up towards the sky, just as Marshtomp unleashes his ability. Just as Ruby gets ready to go on the attack, and Norman readies himself, Gabby shouts, "Will you two cut it out?" As Ruby freaking pulls up the pipe like a loaded gun and has Mudshot fire out at his father. The mud suddenly dissolves in an instant before it can hit Norman. And as Ruby looks to the sky, he sees Cashworm using Sunny Day specifically on this area. Gabby questions, "Did we make it in time?" But as Norman and Ruby start to kind of calm down a little bit, suddenly the ground they're on starts to shake. Well, I mean, considering how the ground they were on formed, and the part of the staircase that they're on tips over the balcony even more, which is like, yeah, nothing about where you were standing was stable in any way, shape, or form. Meanwhile, back at Ruby's house, his mother, sweet Caroline, bum bum bum, is looking in Ruby's trash at the remnants of the wrapper of the birthday gift from Ruby's father. And she says, "Oh no, the gift from your father. You didn't read the letter he wrote you. Maybe you didn't understand why he decided to move to Hoenn on your birthday. But we had our reasons, you know. We were going to have dinner together to celebrate your birthday and our move. And now that you're 11, your father was going to give you permission to pursue your dream of competing in Pokemon contests." Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's questionable a lot of the things he did to his son, but it is more of a reasoning of, "I'm pissed because I was just gonna let you do this, kid. Instead, you worried your friggin' mother. You got in no telling amounts of problems. You got caught up in a criminal organization, the theft of a highly expensive submarine. Like, yeah, I know. I shouldn't say this as a parent, but I'd want to knock my child around too. Just like, what were you thinking?" And at least like shake them, like, no. But I have to think that it's a testament to Ruby wouldn't have done this if he was of a mindset that his father would have allowed this. So I do wonder, what in Ruby's childhood happened to make him distrust his father this much? And considering how harsh we've seen his father be up until this point, yeah, no, it kind of tracks. This is why good communication with your child is very important. To kind of explain it like, because I shouldn't get into it's topical, okay? Me and my wife, we, 12-year-old daughter, we try to kind of make sure that she understands, hey, like, this is why we're doing this. Don't run away from home. We'll try to talk things out and work things out, because we don't want her doing something stupid. Like, no. And we try to make her understand, like, hey, if you were to run away from home, you wouldn't really be able to get that far, and any number of things could happen to you. And thankfully, she's never been at that point, though our home situation is kind of, yeah, so a lot of things are all over the place, but we've tried to keep the idea of communication in mind because previous generations, and considering when this came out, I would have been around the same age as Ruby, a little bit older, but around the same age. The older generations, the parents that raised me and my wife, would have not understood, they had a tendency not to really communicate with their children as well as they should have. So this kind of tracks giving the generational gap, Alright, so tangent aside, we pick up on the falling staircase. Norman calls out to his son, while Ruby calls out to his dad in their precarious situation. Oh boy. Alright, and now we cut to chapter 211, Hanging Around with Slacking, part 3. And it's been a while since we've got a third part to something. We cut to several months ago. Wait, several months ago? Huh. No, because I don't think it's even been a month that Ruby's been on his journey. A couple of weeks, maybe. Maybe. They're in the 50s, right? It's getting close to a month. It should be almost a month by now. But this would have been way before then. We pick up several months ago at the Petalburg gym. Caroline asks her husband, "What? Did I hear you right just now?" Norman says, "Those contests. I think we ought to let Ruby enter Pokemon contests, if that's what he really wants." Caroline says, "But you've been so opposed to it all this time." Norman tells her that's because Ruby was still a child. But he's going to be 11. He's old enough to make his own decisions now. Which, I mean, to a certain degree, yes. Like, at that age, it's like, okay, you having the child have a little bit more responsibilities once they hit about age 10 is actually a little bit more common in Japanese society, I feel, than American society. Because for us, it was 12. 12, like, well, no, well, 11 and 12, no, 10, 11, 12. But she's the oldest, so I'm getting off on my own personal situation. Regardless, I understand the concept of having at around when they reach the double digits, giving the child a little bit more responsibility, more things that they need to deal with, making their own decisions, which is a good thing. It helps them start to think more about situations and what they should do, how they can help, in what ways they are expected to help, what they're expected to do. You know, that prepares them for when they hit an age where they can start working and so on and so forth. At least that's my belief. You know, you do kind of want to ease them into it, and I feel like having small children just go out into the world. But this is also based off of those errands they would have children run in Japan. You know, the idea of giving children their independence by having them go off running errands, you know, and people will kind of watch over them and so forth. But that comes from a time when you trusted your community a little bit more than nowadays. Now it's a lot more dubious. Again, sorry, tangent. Norman tells his wife, "Frankly, I still want him to train and fight Pokemon battles. He hasn't noticed yet, but he's actually even better at Pokemon battling than I am, if he'd focus on that. But he has to make his own choices about what he wants to do with his life." Right. You know, it's good to guide your child up until a point, but, you know, after a certain point, it's good to kind of let them start making their own choices, especially what direction they want their life to head in, so that they can be the best they can be. You keep holding them back. I mean, if it's something that's not going to harm them or anyone else around them, don't fight it. Embrace it and try to help your child as best you can. You know, it's a parent's job to help their child succeed where they can. You know, it shouldn't be our job to constantly help our children, but to be there when they need that help. Just from my perspective. Norma says, "Why don't we move to Hoenn in time for Ruby's birthday? We can invite the Birch family over and have dinner together to celebrate. I'll tell Ruby at his birthday dinner." Caroline says, "All right, dear." And then pick up in present day where she laments how things have kind of worked out, saying, "If only you'd had the patience to wait, Ruby. Just a couple more hours that day." Pick up with Slacking losing his grip on the staircase, Norman and Ruby going plummeting to the forest below. Oh, but Norman hanging on to the piping that Ruby previously had and hanging on to his son from that piping for dear life as the staircase crashes below. And now there's no forest below them, just rocks and jagged wood. Ruby looks down below and gulps, thinking, if we fall, we'll get stabbed by the jagged shards of the staircase and split trees. Me and my dad. Both. The water from the rain that's still falling is causing Norman's grip to slip on both the pipe and his son. Says, ugh, the rain is making this worse. He calls over to Castform, still using Sunny Day, saying, hey, you there, Castform, move your sunlight over here, right above me. Castform nods and does just that. This allows Norman's grip to be able to strengthen because of the lack of rain. He says, perfect. Ruby thinks, I get it. Sunny Day only changes the weather in a limited area. So he had Castform dry things out around him. Now his hands won't slip, but how do we get back up? Unfortunately, suddenly the pipe that they were holding on to just snaps off. Like, yeah, see, the problem is both the combination of the coolness of the rain to the heat of the sunny day would cause a bit of instability in the piping, especially considering how old and dilapidated and lack of maintenance that's been on it. Yeah, so now they're falling towards a very bloody death. But Ruby suddenly brings out Feebas saying, Fifi. And Feebas is like, Fifi? Ruby says, help Fifi. I've given you a nickname now, Fifi. Of all times to make a nickname. I need you to help with your moves. And Feebas in an instant just starts creating mirror shields with, light screens with mirror coat. That's what I think I'm trying to say. Light screens with mirror coat on them down below and try to help them. But I don't think he manages to get it in the right direction. As Ruby says, it's too late. As he's about to hit the ground below, Norman calls out, Ruby, your feet! And Ruby, activates the running shoes, which manages to propel them just away from imminent death, which, goddamn, they managed to fall into the forest, thankfully, switching directions. The swimmer Gabby, Ty, and Marshtomp see all this going down. The swimmer questioning, what happened? While Gabby shouts, quick, we've got to get down there. In the forest, Norman and Ruby are desperately trying to catch their breath. Ruby looks down to his running shoes, thinking, my running shoes, present Dad gave me for my birthday, saved our lives, as he loses consciousness. They then cut to Gabby, Ty, and the swimmer, all being relieved to see they're okay. Gabby saying, I'm so glad, as Norman now stands over his son, Pokeball in hand. Gabby questions, what? The swimmer says, oh, come on, he can't still be mad at Ruby. But Norman, he gets a message on his Pokegear. Norman sighs as he answers. The voice says, hello, Norman, it's Winona. Remember me? Fortree City's gym leader? Winona. Oh, her. Oh, I actually liked her. Her I remember. She had a great design. Yeah, she looked more serious than she actually was. She is actually very bubbly. She has an appearance that makes you think that, she's very serious and, she's this determined and she's tough as nails, kind of like Claire. No. She's actually just very bubbly. If anything, I'd almost call her just very passionate, if nothing else. There's a sweetness to her that was kind of unexpected for me, but I liked her. She was a cool one. Oh, we skipped over Flannery. Okay, that's what it feels like we're missing. Okay. Because Ruby's whole situation with Norman, okay. Flannery, I love Flannery. Flannery. Yeah, oh my god. Sorry, I'm simping too hard. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But Winona's cool. Norman says, you again? What is it now? Winona says, that's some greeting, especially coming from someone who just destroyed a public facility. Wait, are you watching this? Is she flying up above with her bird Pokemon? You could have helped out. Norman looks around saying, where are you? And why would she even need to say it? She says, look up. And, and she's there with Flannery. Oh my god, Flannery! Oh my god! I had to look up the name of the Pokemon, but up above, riding on Winona's Altaria, is both Winona and Flannery, who looks a little bit nervous. But considering what they probably saw, it's just like, that's a lot of child endangerment. Oh man, Flannery. It was always a toss-up between Brawly and Flannery in terms of who had my favorite design of the gym leaders of the Hoenn region. Just the biggest crushes on both of them. They were so cool. With Winona coming in as a close third, and then behind that Roxanne. Like, just my favorite gym leaders. Norman, just too normal. Watson, not the right kind of old man energy. Tate and Liza, children. Actual children. Wallace and Juan, not my jam. I didn't really, I don't remember encountering one in, do you only encounter him in Emerald or in both Ruby and Sapphire? No, you only encounter him in Emerald. So my only encounter with Juan was in the anime, and he is alright. But when it came to Wallace, oh man, I don't remember Wallace at all. I remember nothing of Wallace. I kind of remember him showing up, but the flamboyance that you get from Wallace later down the line just was not as present. I'm looking at his design now because they didn't give him the cape until Emerald, and the cape is everything. That shawl that he has later down the line is just like, it completes his aesthetic. Without that, it's just like, nah, there's something missing. There's something missing. And I think I always thought that Wallace and Wally were related. I think there was something that made me think that. Yeah, but I'm interested to see them later down the line. Though, Tate and Liza, I love the battle because it was a double battle. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off on a tangent again. Again, my memories are overtaking me. Winona calls out, I hope you have a good excuse for leaving your gym unattended for such a long time without notifying the Pokemon Association. I came looking for you because trainers have been complaining that you're never in when they come to challenge you. Given what's actually going on, he has a pretty good excuse, but he didn't explain that to anyone. But then again, you don't really... Norman comes off, at least here, as the kind of person who wouldn't explain that. Winona says, both you and Flannery are still rookie Hoenn gym leaders. Oh, right, yeah, she's new. It was her grandfather who was the previous gym leader, right? Yeah, it was her granddad. Yeah. I actually really do like when we have moments of the position of gym leader being passed on. It kind of reeks a little of nepotism, but at the same time, that's what Japan is kind of all about. And let's face it, even in the regular real world, there are people who go, oh, your father or mother or whatever was this, you probably are as good too, which that's rarely ever the case. But Winona says, both you and Flannery here are still rookie Hoenn gym leaders, and I'm under orders to supervise you two. I'm taking you back to the association headquarters with me. Flannery says, I'm being scolded for not being at the gym because I left to train more. Okay, yeah. That feels like a very Flannery thing. Winona says, You can explain yourself after we get back. Norman sighs, looks to his unconscious son, and then calls out, hey, you went off on your own. You weren't patient enough to hear your parents out. I wanted to tell you that you can pursue your dream. You're free to do as you will. But I expect you to do your best to achieve your goal. Once you decide to do something, give it your all. I don't know anything about Pokemon contests. I have no idea what you see in them, but I'm sure you're going to need a lot of supplies to do the right job. You scattered your Pokeblocks everywhere back in Slateport City. You keep them in a cape, and he hands one to his son and puts it in his hand. And don't forget to call your mother every now and then, right? Like, Ruby, call your mother, you little shit. For the love of God. Like, it's fine if you just want to leave, but at least let your mom know that you're okay. Oh, God. Well, yeah, I'm not the person to be saying that. I sometimes forget to call my mom, too. I get so caught up in what I'm doing. Because regardless of how you feel about your parents, if they care about you, at least let them know that you're not dead. And Ruby grips the, what is it, a Pokeblock case? Yeah, Pokeblock case. Going, And both the swimmer, Ty and Gabby, tear up a little. Both the swimmer sniffing and going, he's not such a bad father after all. It's a little dubious, but he's trying. The swimmer then loads the unconscious Ruby into Gabby and Ty's car. Gabby saying, you know what this means, don't you? You better win some contests. I'll drive you to Vandertuff Town. The swimmer says, see you, kiddo. As Ruby doesn't really respond. I don't know if he's conscious or not, though he thinks, Dad, thank you. And so Ty starts up the car. Gabby shuts the door saying, okay, let's get going. And the swimmer waves him off with his star you saying, see you, take care. And then he realizes something. And much to his shock, he chases them down saying, Feebas, wait, how do you like to start a Feebas farm with me? Hey, hang on a minute. I hope you at least gave him your number, dude. It's a small region. You'll run into each other at one point again. We then see Delicatty and Mighty Anna putting a blanket over Ruby in the back seat as Castform watches, and Gabby notices Castform watching, seemingly feeling a little envious. Gabby tells it, "You can go with him if you want to, Castform." Castform is a bit taken aback, and then thinks for a moment and decides to go over, joining in the merriment. Unbeknownst to Ruby, you've gained a Castform. I'm actually curious how he'll feel about that. Gabby then says, "Hey, Ty, I've been thinking. Let's trust that Castform to his care," which takes Ty aback, saying, "What are you talking about, Gabby? You can't do that without President Stone's permission." Oh, so ironic that they got wrapped up with Ruby as well. Gabby says, "But somebody has to take care of Castform while he's in the hospital, right? It never got attached to us, but look how attached it's gotten to Ruby and his Pokemon. Castform must sense something about him. That's why it agreed to help him and his father. Don't worry. As long as we're with him, the Castform will always be in sight." Ty says, you mean you want to stick with this kid? Huh, don't say I didn't warn you." I mean, no, it makes sense. She lost sight of Sapphire, and Sapphire has been involved in multiple encounters ever since. Oh, one other encounter with Team Magma since. But sticking with Ruby is just like, look, this kid's bound to get involved with that criminal organization again. I'm sticking to him like I can't think of an analogy. Oh well. Oh my god, really? Speaking of which, I kind of love this. Unbeknownst to them, as the car drives down the route, we see Sapphire running on all fours, right past them up on a ridge where they can't see, making her way to a volcano. 55 days left until the deadline. It's damn near a month at this point. Yeah, so they were really just right up in the same area for a second there. But Ruby has moved past the Weather Institute, and Sapphire has moved past Route 111. Alright, Chapter 212, Bubble Bubble, Toil and Azumarill, Part 1. Oh, and we immediately pick up at the Lava Ridge City Gym, which I feel like I probably should have realized heading to a volcano. Flannery makes a lot of sense. Also remember struggling against her Torkoal a little bit. Alright, so we see Flannery, and that's a Magcargo, right? Yep, Magcargo. Flannery orders her Magcargo to use Flamethrower and cooks her opponent's Trapinch. Yep, that's Trapinch. Always good to know that I remember. I mean, she cooks both the trainer and the trainer's Pokemon. We see a whole bunch of trainers that she's taken out. But on a monitor in the back of the gym, Winona contacts her saying, "Wonderful, Flannery. You're a rookie gym leader, but your battles are like those of a skilled veteran. That's the 149th challenger you've defeated since you became a gym leader. That's more than enough to compensate for the trouble you've caused." See, this feels like the Winona that I always assumed she was. Kind of like an overseer, or like the team mom or such. Maybe she was like that in the anime to a certain degree too, but I don't know. Winona here feels a little bit more no-nonsense than I remember from the anime. But maybe that's just because she's in charge. Flannery then says, "Winona, I've heard about..." I don't know if it's Winona who says, "This girl, she beat Roxanne, Broly, and Watson. That's 3 trainers and 3 badges in a very short time. Her name is Sapphire. I've heard of her too. Why the interest?" Flannery says, "Isn't it obvious? The next place she'll visit is very likely to be here. I better go out and train for a bit." And Flannery is making her way out of the gym saying, "Okay, come and challenge me. I'm ready for you, Sapphire." Okay, and see, this feels like the Flannery I'm used to. She's hot-blooded and ready to go, and she really wants to try her damnness to be the best. Oh, and 2 very Team Aqua-like silhouettes call out, looking like Amber and Court, and Amber and Shelly. Yeah, it looks like Amber and Shelly. Amber says, "Sapphire?" Shelly asks, "Did you just say Sapphire? You know her, don't you?" Amber asks, "Could you tell us more about her?" And they send out Ludicolo and Carvana. Why can I never remember that? Carvana to attack her. Oh, and then we cut away to said Sapphire, who looks upon the the might of Mount Chimney. There we go. Saying, ooh, this place looks mighty grand close up, eh? Mount Chimney. The whole area is burning hot because of the heat from that volcano. Oh, right, I remember Mount Chimney. Yeah, it was such a cool location. Because you pass through a whole bunch of smoke and fog. It was really cool, especially because you had the little cable car service too. Yeah, that was the thing that made me remember, like Mount Chimney and its cable car service. And I thought that was so cool. And you battle a lot of tough opponents making your way up Mount Chimney too. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I have great memories of Mount Chimney. Sapphire races up on all fours saying, we just need to cross this mountain and get to Lava Ridge Town. Let's go. And as they make their way, Sapphire then notices something saying, hey, oh, that's nice. There's a machine that'll take us up the mountain. As she makes her way to the cable car, he says, that's news to me, but it ain't moving. It's just dangling in midair. Oh well, I was gonna climb the mountain on foot anyway. As she goes to make her way, she sees the cable car moving and shaking. She looks up, questioning, huh? She hears a voice saying, run. Suddenly the door opens and there's Matt with a tied up Flannery. Matt says, you're here, Sapphire? Just like she said you would be. Miss Flannery, the intel you gave us about Sapphire coming to Lava Ridge Town has turned out to be most helpful. I must remember to thank Shelley and Amber for capturing you. Sapphire says, oh, he's that guy from Petalburg Woods. While Flannery, with her voice muffled, says, run, run. Sapphire has her Dawn fan start rolling up as she says, I can hear you holding someone captive. And you're up to no good again, ain't you? But I'm not gonna let that happen. And she uses Dawn Fan to launch her towards the cable car. She makes her way in and recalls her Pokemon towards her, saying, did you seriously think I wouldn't be able to get up here? Matt says, not at all. As a matter of fact, I wanted you to come here. Long time no see. I'm so glad we meet again. And now, I won't let you get away. He presses the button to close the door, but then Sapphire catches sight of the beat-up Flannery, thinking, how could they do something like this? She grits her teeth and shouts, using someone I don't even know as bait? You're not gonna get away with this. She brings out her Combuskin, saying, and don't think I'm gonna go easy on you cause we're cooped up in this little place. Check. And as, man, Combuskin was going for the jugular with them claws. But Matt says, we'll see about that. As the meanest looking Azumarill I have ever seen in my life catches Combuskin's claws and then just breathes in and just hydro pumps his ass, or water gun, either one. It's super effective regardless. Oh man, and it's even enough water to knock Sapphire back as well, and it starts filling the cable car up with water. Joybus! And man, that Azumarill is just going, just pumping it in. Dang. As Matt says, there's more to come. This cable car is completely sealed, absolutely airtight, and the water will just keep coming. Kinda hard to breathe underwater, isn't it? Sapphire says, but it's the same for you. And Matt just laughs all the way until his head's underwater. Oh, bastard! And underwater, Sapphire sees Azumarill put an air bubble over Matt's head as he tells her, don't worry about me. I have a way around that problem. Damn, I didn't know Matt was... Whoa, man, brutal. Thanks to my Azumarill. And then we have a Pokedex readout saying, Azumarill, the Aqua Rabbit Pokemon. Azumarill can make balloons out of air. It makes the air balloons if it spots a drowning Pokemon. The air balloon enables the Pokemon in trouble to breathe. Matt says, they make air balloons to save other Pokemon and people from drowning. But you knew that, right? No? As he just watches both Sapphire and Flannery struggle from the lack of breath. Both he and his Azumarill laugh. My apologies. You're in no condition to talk, are you? That's right, because you can't breathe. Now then, he sends out a Sharpedo. Oh man, This dude is savage. Time to get rid of you two, and to begin accomplishing Team Aqua's plans. This might sting a bit as the jaws of Sharpedo close in. Oh yeah, oh right, their stupid plan. Oh, I forgot about their stupid plan. Their stupid device. Oh, right. They're trying to, if it was Team Magma, they'd want to make the volcano more active, but Team Aqua wants to make it dormant, and we see a device hanging over the mouth of the volcano. A massive device with I want to say rocket grunts, aqua grunts all around it. One calls out to Amber, "Everything's ready." Amber says, "Good. And now it's up to Team Aqua to permanently put a stop to the volcanic activity of this mountain." Oh boy. Love Team Aqua, hate their plans. Alright. It's chapter 213, Bubble, Toil, and Azumarill, part 2. As the cable car has filled with water, and the Sharpedo goes in for the bite, Sapphire moves Flannery out of the way, with Sharpedo taking a chunk out of her back, or at least scraping against it. Sapphire does her damnedest to just make sure she holds her breath in, all the while Matt laughs. Still moving. I'm surprised you can hold your breath that long. It's been 3, no, maybe 4 minutes underwater? I guess you're going for some kind of world record. The Sapphire sees Flannery struggling. She thinks, oh no, hang in there. This is so frustrating. But he's right. Gonna have to find a way to breathe before I can fight him. And somehow save this person with me. And I'd say unleash Wailord, but in that confined space, it wouldn't work out too well. Matt says, I almost feel sorry for you two. Actually, maybe even just a little guilty. So I better finish you off. And he sends Sharpedo in again. Sapphire says, thinks I'll be done for if I get bitten. Rono, please. And she sends out Iron, and Sharpedo bites down on it and loses its teeth. Matt says, "Ooh, iron defense, not bad. You've broken all of Sharpedo's fangs. But do you imagine that means you've avoided the worst?" As Sharpedo's teeth just come back in. Yeah, because sharks' special ability to regrow their teeth. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not as instantaneously as that, but I don't think the laws of this world are on your side, Sapphire. Says, so close and yet, Sharpedo's fangs grow back as soon as they break off. And the Pokédex reads, Sharpedo, the brutal Pokémon. Nicknamed the Bully of the Sea, Sharpedo is widely feared. Its cruel fangs grow back immediately if they snap off. Just one of these Pokemon can thoroughly tear apart a super tanker, and that's the last thing you wanna be bitten by. Matt tells her, no matter how many times you manage to deflect Sharpedo's attacks with your Iron, the fangs will just keep growing back. And it seems as though Sapphire passes out, hitting against the glass of the cable car. Matt sneers with his Sharpedo and Azumarill as he says, it's over. Meanwhile, back at the top, Amber is overseeing the device, saying, it's been 4 minutes since the cable car started moving. By now, Matt must have gotten rid of that little girl. Now we can get back to what's really important. Finishing up at the volcano. Everything's falling into place, as long as Shelly doesn't mess it up. We then cut to Shelly over at, where is she? Meteor Falls? Okay, I vaguely remember this. Okay, yeah, I kind of remember the layout a bit. Okay, don't want to look too deep into it, spoil myself on something, but it does kind of ring a bell. Oh, and she even says it in the actual chapter. I really need to just stop relying on the wiki sometimes. Shelly with her, is that her Flygon? Oh no, that's Vibrava. It evolves into Flygon. Okay, yeah. She says everything's going according to plan, Amber. I'm at Meteor Falls. Yes, I met up with him. He's right beside me. Isn't that right, Professor Cosmo? Professor Cosmo. oh, this dude. Oh, he looks so much different in the anime. He was kind of a kook, if I'm being honest. I say that, but it's just that he looks like he's a kook, but he's actually kind of cool in the anime. He just gets wrapped up in some wild goings on. We see Professor Cosmo digging, and Shelly says, "Isn't that right, Professor Cosmo?" Professor Cosmo says, "Yes, right. Thanks for everything. For the opportunity to do research on the minerals here with you, and for funding my research to boot." Shelly walks over saying, "No need to thank us. We wanted a talented man like you to be able to concentrate on your research without having to worry about your budget. Team Aqua will always be right behind you to fund your work." Professor Cosmos says, "Thank you. The sea is the source of all life on this planet. Your organization understands that. You're making a great effort to protect it and those who live in it. I applaud you." Of course, gotta, have the organization masked in the guise of something civil. Shelley says, "Thank you very much. Professor Cosmo, I don't mean to rush you, but can you bring that meteor you just dug up with you?" Professor Cosmo says, "Oh, sure." And as he brings it up, Shelly gives a mischievous grin. Meanwhile, back with, Matt drowning the two girls, he says, "My first task since my promotion." Suddenly, he hears a splash. Looking around, questioning, what's that sound? Suddenly, the girls raise up to the top of the car, just where the water hasn't completely filled, and they're able to get a breath. Matt looks around as the water recedes, saying, "Water level is going down, impossible." Not noticing how did she do that? Did she do that with her no, there's something dug into the glass. As the glass breaks, shooting out all the water. He says, "How?" As Sapphire gets her breath, she says, "You thought I was only protecting myself when I used Rono to stop Torpedo's attack, didn't you? But that wasn't my only aim. I grabbed the broken fangs floating in the water without letting you see. You used them to punch a hole in the window," which, dang. I mean, yeah, I get it. The fangs are tough, but you'd have to actually have the force in order to puncture the window. Like, those windows ain't easy to break. Matt said, "Azumarill, Sharpedo." The two Pokemon go in, while Sapphire says, "Now that I can breathe, I got nothing to worry about. Rono, takedown!" And Lion uses takedown against Matt and his two Pokemon, sending him crashes through the back window. Oh, dang. What a weird trajectory. They go flying out of one car upward towards the other car, crashing into it, causing a massive crater. And Matt promptly passes out. Like, dang. Sapphire then hoists Flannery onto her back. Goes out the cable car, manages to land down below, because, they're only so far off the ground. And she gets Flannery untied, saying, "Hang in there." Flannery coughs a little bit, saying, "Thanks. I'm so sorry. I told them about you. You're just like everyone said, an amazing trainer," which causes Sapphire to blush. As Flannery gets up, she says, "I don't have time to sit around." And she tries to make her way to the top. Sapphire asks, "What's she gonna do now?" Flannery says, "Climb. You remember what he said? Some sort of plan. They're probably going to do something terrible to the volcano. I'm a gym leader. Won't let them get away with any funny business in my town." Oh, man. Flannery. Just love you more and more as things go on. Sapphire questions, "A gym leader?" Flannery tells her, "I'm Flannery, the gym leader of Lava Ridge Town." Sapphire goes, "Oh, if that cable car gets to the top, someone's going to notice that. That creep didn't get rid of me. I think it would be a good idea for us to stick together. I'll go with you." She gets down on all fours and leaps up a little bit, saying, "But we ain't exactly in tip-top condition. So let's fly up to the peak." Flannery questions, "Fly? How?" Sapphire tells her, on a Pokemon, of course." Flannery questions, "You have a Pokemon that can fly?" Is it another one of her dad's Pokemon? Wait, what? Oh, right, they can fly! I always forget that because they're so big. Sapphire says, "Ain't mine, it's my dad's. He lent it to me. Said I could use it whenever I needed a lift in the sky. I usually let it roam free. I don't like to keep it inside a Pokeball." Flannery questions, "Where is it?" And Sapphire tells her, "Right here." And she gives a whistle. And I don't usually deal with this Pokemon that often. Tropius rises his head out of the forest. majestically. Alright, chapter 214, Assaulted by Pelipper, part 1, which will be the end of this volume, as we see Shelley and her Vibrava making their way to the top of Mount Chimney, along with Professor Cosmo. She says, "Here we are, Professor Cosmo." As the two land, Amber says, "Ah, welcome to our experiment." The professor wipes his face from the heat of the volcano, saying, "Nice to meet you. It's terribly hot up here near the crater, isn't it?" "Phew. And you are?" Amber responds, "Amber, one of the 3 Team Aqua admins, otherwise known as the SSS. Wait, what? The SSS? How'd you be known as the SSS? Okay, maybe it's a thing in Japanese. Yeah, I can't figure out why'd you be called the SSS. Professor Cosmo looks at the machine saying, "Oh, this must be the machine you told me about. The one that will temporarily halt the mountain's volcanic activity so we can raise the sea level near here. It's huge." Amber says, "According to our data, the Hoenn region sea levels have been declining rapidly in the past year. We don't know the reason, but we must put a stop to it. The sea must be protected." Cosmo says, "My, what wonderful organization you have." Amber says, "The experiment is already underway. However, there is one small issue. Mount Chimney is an active volcano. The machine doesn't have enough power to control it. That's where you come in, Professor Cosmo. We need your meteor you dug up as well as your unique technology to extract its energy." Cosmo gets the meteor out of the case, saying, "Of course, my pleasure." Amber says, "So this is the meteorite that fell from space." Yep, we're getting into space! Spice! 10 points if you get that reference. Amber motions to a I want to say rocket, a aqua grunt, to open up the container that will house the meteorite. Amber shows the blueprint, saying, "The blueprints you provided were very helpful. We've already attached your device to the machine." As Cosmo brings over the meteorite, he says, "Excellent. We'll convert the energy from the meteorite." As he makes his way, Amber hears something. The cable car approaching, but shaking. He and the other aqua grunts go over to the cable car, seeing Matt passed out on top. One of the grunts call out, "Aqua Admin Amber, we've got trouble." Amber says, "Matt." And of course, Cosmo freaks out seeing the passed out man, as Amber thinks, he failed to get rid of Sapphire. Cosmo questions, "What's going on?" Amber lies, saying, "A rival organization is bent on interfering with us, Professor Cosmo." Cosmo questions, "A rival organization?" Amber says, "Yes, there are 3 SSS Team Aqua admins in all, and each of us had a mission today. My job was to carry out the experiment. Shelley was to bring you here, and Matt was to try and reason with the opposition group." Shelley hams it up over the unconscious Matt being carried away, saying, "It appears his negotiations were unsuccessful. Just look at what they did to him." These guys are good. Amber says, "Professor Cosmo, it's too dangerous here. My guess is our enemies are headed for the mountain's peak. They're completely unpredictable. I have no idea what they might do to you if they catch you." The professor freaks out. Amber says, "Shelley, you protect Professor Cosmo and charge the machine with the energy from the meteorite. I'll take care of the opposition." The professor sweats as Shelley, leads him over, saying, "Will do. Please come with me, Professor." Amber sends out Pelipper. Oh, God, and he rides on the back of it. He says, "Come on out, Pelipper." As he makes his way down, he looks around, questioning, "Where are they?" Then he hears flapping in the haze of all the smoke from the mountain, as he says, "There they are." As Tropius, there we go. Tropius flies in with Flannery and Sapphire towards the top. Flannery calls out, "I knew it. Sapphire, look at that thing. They're doing something to Mount Chimney with the huge machine." Sapphire says to Tropiary, "Hurry, Tropy, Razor Leaf." And the Razor Leaf just rains down, cutting through one of the cable cars, causing havoc around the Aqua members. Man, they really would look like terrible people if you didn't know what was going on. Flannery says, "Sapphire, aim for that machine. We have to disable it." But Amber calls out, "Oh, no, you don't. I won't let you." Pelipper Hydro Pump. But, grass-type Pokemon. Tropiary blocks the attack. Sapphire saying, "That won't stop us." As the battle rages in the air, Shelley says, "Professor Cosmo, that's them. They're after the meteorite and this machine. Hurry, you have to set everything up quickly in case they defeat Amber." The professor does just that, saying, okay, and places the meteorite inside the machine, typing away at the controls while still looking back at the intense battle in the sky. Amber calls back, hurry, Professor Cosmo. Oh, they're good. Flannery says, Sapphire, it's okay. We're winning. Let's make short work of them, then go break that machine into little pieces. Sapphire says, I'm trying, but I can't. Flannery questions, what? Sapphire explains, something's not right. It seems like we have the upper hand, but he keeps attacking me at just the right moment so I can't get close to the machine. It's like he's pretending he's having a hard time or something. I don't know why he would do that, but he won't be able to pretend anything when I do this. Tropy's most powerful move, it never misses. Take that. Magical Leaf? What? Magical Leaf? I don't remember this move. An unavoidable attack. Huh. It's mostly for contests. Okay, huh. Man, in none of the couple of gens I played do I remember this ever being used. That's kind of cool. Still learning about Pokemon news even after all this time. So the hit angles around Amber and his Pelipper towards the machine just as Cosmo manages to activate it. He says, I did it! Oh, and a barrier forms around the machine, much to the shock of Flannery and Sapphire, who says, it repelled Magical Leaf? Amber says, we did it. You're very clever, but I wasn't trying to fool you. I was just trying to trick that stupid scientist into believing our story. Thanks to you, he did. And now the machine is charged up and we see the professor celebrating with Shelley as Amber says the mountain's volcanic activity has completely ceased. And just then the mountain goes completely dormant. Cut to the town of Hot Springs, Lava Ridge Town, at a hot spring where a man says, Achoo! Hey, is this hot spring getting cold all of a sudden? What the? This is ridiculous. He gets off with... I was about to say something bad. He gets out of the hot spring with his Pokemon saying, what's going on? The hot springs have gone cold. I've never heard of this happening in the history of Lava Ridge Town. The hot springs are always hot and steamy. They're warmed by Mount Chimney. We see a man slowly walking in as the people shout, hey look, there's no smoke coming from the volcano. And no ash. Yeah, the ash in the town. That was always a cool visual. It's not just the hot springs. The whole town is getting chilly as we see Archie in the crowd grinning. The narration then reads, the concession of Mount Chimney's secession of Mount Chimney's volcanic activity has had a drastic influence not only on Lava Ridge Town, but deep beneath the surface of the entire Hoenn region. The balance of energy has been disrupted. This imbalance is slowly but surely awakening ancient creatures slumbering in the underground depths. 49 days left until the deadline, as we see both Groudon and Kyogre and the orbs they're tied to awaken. Awaken, 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 awaken. It's funny that Groudon is on the cover, but we only actually see him at the very end of the volume. And freaking Kyogre cameo. But awaken, 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 awaken. And shoot, what an intense few chapters this was. I love it. I loved it. You know, of course, Ruby getting involved with Team Magma was a lot of fun, but Sapphire getting involved with Team Aqua is also its own brand of fun. I liked how they managed to split that up and make it very consistent. Yeah, the battle between Ruby and Norman was surprisingly intense, but it was obvious he wasn't actually going to hurt his son. He was just more miffed and annoyed than anything else. I gotta beat some sense to my son. Back when that was somewhat acceptable. But man, that was fun though. I'm glad that we at least got that baggage for Ruby kind of out of the way. Though, it was sweet and all, but it's just like, man, Ruby, what did you go through to make you think that your dad wouldn't just gel with you being in contests? Or maybe it was just a little bit of teenage rebellion. Well, maybe we'll find out later. But stuff with Sapphire, man, it was fun seeing Flannery. I'm glad Flannery gets to team up in this one. Again, one of my favorite gym leaders in Hoenn. Well, no, she is my favorite gym leader in Hoenn. And, right, the ash that would fall around the city. Yeah, I remember that cool visual of the ash just falling around Lava Ridge Town, I think. And there was, yeah, and you could even chill in the hot spring near there too. I think you could see ash falling in Lava Ridge. Yeah, and elderly citizens, right. I just have this memory of this visual of ash constantly falling in one of the towns, and I thought that was so cool. Just, oh, what a wild visual. I mean, that was such a switch up, because going from Gen 1 to 2 to 3 was just like, oh my god, look at the improvements in graphics. Now it's just like, oh no, that's kind of cool. But that was a fun battle against Matt. Just good stuff. It does kind of suck that Flannery is mostly just an aside to all of this. I would love to see her getting in the fight a little bit as well. But I do also love Aqua just playing Cosmo the way that they did. Just using their defeat to make an advantage to get what they want. Just because that could have easily been a mask off moment where they start forcing the professor, but playing it into, oh no, we're being attacked by people who want to sabotage this and cause harm. Quick, professor, before it's too late. That's good. Because I think in the anime, it's very obvious that they're not good people from the onset. Yeah, it's obvious they were outright enemies. It's funny too because the professor has such a fun appearance in the earlier days, but in the more recent updates, they made him look so plain. I don't even recognize him as Professor Cosmo anymore. But all in all, a good storyline. Yeah, I also love the trade-off. We deal with Team Magma, then we deal with Team Aqua, then Team Aqua, Magma, boom, 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 boom. It's fun. I do wonder if they'll clash towards the end of things because, there's such a distinct direction both teams take that's kind of interchangeable, though I do like how it changes off hands here and there. But they made it very apparent that considering what they're both trying to do, they're eventually gonna run into each other. And I'm curious how that's gonna work out. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.